my wife has clearly noticed that I'm leveling up, but she has her doubts, and in
Yeah.
terms of intimacy and trust, it's kind of non-existent. But we are in the talks of maybe having another child because she's 43 now, and this would be the last opportunity. Even I'm a little hesitant, but I do want to have a bigger family.
Hmm.
So I've got my doubts because like at an older age, there's more issues with congenital
Complications.
defects.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you're not good, if I'm going to be stuck in a sexless marriage, I mean, again, it's like I still have a little bit of that fight or flight. So like at the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't want to get locked into this even more if things are going to be the
Well,
way as
I completely understand where you come from, but let's break this down. Okay. First
yeah.
thing we need to look at is, do you believe in your ability to continue to grow with me and with Lords? Do you believe that you'll be proud of the man that you can look at in the mirror and be everything that you want to be, your best, most authentic, true, real self? Yes or no?
Absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, at the same time, I'm not gonna lie. My eyes do wander, and I look at other women, and I mean, like, I suppose it's a natural thing, but
It can be. You know, you got to go back to the reset where I talk about tunnel vision and the focus. You should not be proud if that's what's happening. You should be looking at solutions, right? So let me walk you through it first, okay? So the first thing is, do you believe that you can become this true, most authentic version? You do have tunnel vision. You love your wife 100%. So that's a sabotaging mechanism, right? That's a safe reaction when you're like, "Oh, this sucks. I want more passion. I want more intimacy. I even want, like, I know you even want intimate conversations just to be real between you and your wife again. That has nothing to do with the sexless part, right? That's just
yeah,
part of what we need to have to get to the top of the ladder, okay? So
yeah,
isolate that feeling right there and realize that I do believe it, but I can't if I continue to sabotage, right? And one of
yeah,
those ways would be what you just brought up. That's okay. What we'll do is we've recognized, appreciate
yeah,
the vulnerability and the honesty. That way we can actually get you focused again. Okay.
yeah,
The second thing is, before we even focus on that, let's look about what you truly want. You
yeah,
actually do want a bigger family. That was the first thing you said. You talk
yeah,
about making it bigger. You know, like, if that's something true for you, we need to isolate that first,
yeah,
not your wife, right? Is
yeah.
she, if she is a part of it, don't get me wrong, but authentically, choice that
Mm,
you're making, a man in control, a decision. That decision is, yes, I want more kids first.
mhm,
We don't want to say but, not yet.
mhm,
Because
mhm,
now what we want to do is be a man with impact and provide structure for where we want to go. So,
mhm.
what is it that you actually want? Well, I want to have a bigger family, but I want to be so connected with my wife that
Yeah,
it's a true partnership as we raise these kids, as we teach them the new example for what a marriage looks like. You know,
yeah,
the one that I want, this, not this baseline standard, but this like way up here superpower couple, right?
yeah,
That's the share that I know, right?
yeah.
Is that the share that you want to be?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm just letting my insecurities and my doubt uh, poison my long-term plans here.
Yeah, buddy. There you go. So if you can recognize that, again, if you're vulnerable and open in your deep reflection and realizing where you are safe reacting, you're reacting in a way to protect yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What is that actually going to do for your long term goal? What do you think?
I mean, it's a very selfish thought process. I'm compromising my future family because
There you go.
there's a little doubt in my head.
There you go. And so, if we are making any decisions based off insecurity, let's say, because you just brought insecurity up, okay,
Yeah,
we can recognize that, okay, well, that would be why my eyes are wandering, because I'm hurting and I'm feeling insecure that I'm going to be stuck and isolated in this lonely marriage, right?
yeah,
And not connecting with my wife on deep, intimate levels because there's still
yeah,
a wall between. But if we understand that, then we can start to go, holy shit, I'm creating this structure for the exact thing that I don't want.
Yeah.
Right. And it has nothing to do with having more kids because you already have kids. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it,
Yeah. I have one, but I would like to have at least two.
yeah. And so, like one or two, it's kind of like puppies, man. It doesn't really matter. It's just once you have one, it doesn't matter anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
the only thing it can is if we start going down the divorce road and we're talking about finances or it, we don't want to go down that road though. That's not the
Yeah.
direction that we want to take. So we don't want to even put thought into that. That's like when I tell you guys to, if you're using porn, to lose the porn. What a waste of time. You could be doing things like the lovers list, building something out and getting ready to plan a date or, anything else
Yeah.
from the reset that moves you forward. This new purpose stuff that we talked about on Friday
Yeah.
that you're so
Yeah.
excited about.
Yeah.
It
Absolutely.
sounds dumb because most guys could pull out their porn and be done in 2 or 3 or 5 minutes, but
Yeah.
that's 2 or 3 or 5 minutes in an already busy day that we could be
Yeah.
moving
Yeah.
in the direction that we want, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, I mean, so like you said, building a future. So like, yeah, so that having a child is one, and then also like I was mentioning the past while that I'm looking into buying a clinic. So now, like again, so like there's a little bit of doubt, insecurity that okay, if I buy it now and we're together, and in a year or two, if things don't work out, as in things don't work out, as in if I'm still the man that I am right now, and if I'm not seeing any results in 2 or 3 years, I don't know. I'm thinking I might move on.
Well,
I mean,
well,
it's a toxic thought
absolutely,
process again, but I
it
just
is.
can't get that out of my head.
Well, the only way to get that out of your head is to work through that, right? So
Yeah,
we I understand we can't control our wife. We don't know what decision making she's going to go along with this process. We have no idea. I'll make something up, dude, and I'm going to do this on purpose because it will spike your anxiety and your insecurity. But she's,
yeah,
let's say, super supportive of you having another clinic just because she's thinking about leaving you, and she wants another kid just because she wants to make sure there's a bigger paycheck, and she wants bigger paycheck from both. Like,
yeah,
but why? We can't assume anything. I want you to think about faith, right? When you
yeah,
met your wife, you had faith. You guys were so in love. Things were great, but we had no idea then either. What's
yeah,
happening now is the underlying hurt, pain, the fact that she doesn't trust you, all of that is feeding the monster. Insecurity has a
yeah,
grip on you, and you keep
yeah,
feeding it. So what happens is when you, like the first thing you said, you want your wife doesn't trust you, doesn't feel safe with you. Well, she can't because we're feeding the monster,
yeah,
right? So I want you to start opening up more when you have an insecurity. I want you to start bringing it up so that we can kibosh it. We can look at what's real, right?
to her, or with the
No,
Lord.
with the Lord's, with me, okay?
Okay.
Um, we don't want to put those when there's negative feelings in her heart, in her mind, in
Yeah,
her belly. What happens is we can't create the positivity that we want. We can't
yeah,
provide the structure for where we want to go, right? And so that's when she throws the doubt at you, right?
yeah,
Now, the only other thing that you can do with that right now is actually show up knowing you're proud of who you are. But then
yeah,
here's the reason why. Let's say your wife just won't let go of the past.
yeah,
Okay. Uh, Again, we can't control her, and this happens, right?
yeah,
Well, let's say so you're leveling up, and she has to meet you, Cher, because when you are proud of that man, you've inspired long enough to know you're a leader. We verify that with real things like you and what you believe. A double check with Lords, a triple check with me. Then we have an assessment. We have our scorecard. Math doesn't lie. You know what I mean?
mm,
And so when we are showing up, and let's just say you guys get into disagreement over the clinic or this other child, right?
yeah,
And let's actually use the other child. Let's just focus on that for a second because you've got
yeah,
some genuine concerns if you're
yeah,
thinking about deformities, for example, right?
yeah,
As we get older, it's harder, okay? It's more risky. And
yeah,
so this could be very emotional for both of you, right? You want another kid and you're balancing out the risk. Your wife may be feeling the same way. You both have some fears surrounded and insecurity surrounded with, are we going to continue to coast? Is this going to work? We're talking
yeah,
high emotion here.
yeah,
Okay. So your wife doesn't trust you or feel safe with you, let's just
Yeah.
say you use man with impact correctly. You let your wife feel. You do that through this scenario with the kid. Multiple discussions will be had. They're the hard conversations that you need to have right now, right? You continue to do that. Meanwhile, you're using the rest of the steps, right? We're slowly becoming so proud of who we are. We believe in ourselves. But now you have other opportunities. Let's say the clinic discussion, right? There was, I believe that was you that was talking about moving to a different city too, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think we're moving to Vancouver. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're talking three massively big decisions that all could bring in a ton of emotion, just
Yeah.
different versions of it. Now you keep providing a safe environment for your wife. She loses her mind and just starts bawling, and she shares that she's scared. She's just scared.
Yeah.
What if the clinic doesn't take off fast enough and we owe all this money? What if our
Yeah.
baby is born with a defect that we
Yeah.
are not equipped to handle, and you're not sitting there trying to fix it? No, no, no. My profession is obviously a money making profession. We can always get loans because it's in the medical, and
Yeah.
and you're trying to convince her. You're trying to let, if we don't do any of that, baby, don't worry about it, because we can develop the skills to worry about cerebral palsy or whatever, right? We can get through anything. You're not trying to fix it. You're literally loving her through it. And if you want to come to the
Yeah.
stat training this afternoon, we're going to do stuff. We can even break this example down further for you. But
Um,
the point is, you're not reacting. You're not trying to fix everything as a man out of control. You're letting your wife feel. Dude, I know you're so committed to your wife that you have like a long term of 2 to 3 years if this doesn't work out. Other guys
yeah.
maybe a little further, but a lot of guys, they can't even think about 90 days, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But we have all those years of the hurt, the pain, the trauma. So if you want your wife to trust you, you continue to stat respond. Let her get to her loving, natural, empathetic state, nurturing. Share. That's
Mm,
when she goes, baby, thank you for letting me just get this off my chest. And it might end there. But then eventually, when she gets to that natural state, what does she do? Baby, how do you feel? Like, what if our baby did have cerebral palsy? Like,
yeah.
what do you think about that? And you guys can get through that hard conversation. Why? Because she's slowly rebuilding trust with you in the safe environment. That's why it's the peace pillar,
Yeah.
right? We can't have partnership or passion without peace,
Yeah.
right? So if we break this down for you, what we need to realize is this. First, you need to believe. And if you don't, you use me, you use Lord's, that I am
Okay.
going to be the new man. I'm going
Okay.
to be so proud of who I am. I'm not going to react. I'm going to respond. I'm going to keep showing up, even though my days are longer than most men, with all the stuff that I'm doing with business, with my purpose, with life, right?
Mm,
My family. And
yeah.
then you just own it. I am going to be this man. Two, then we just continue to show up, implementing the reset and providing that structure for where we want to go, removing those obstacles that you're finding are getting in your way. Sabotage is looking like the bigger ones for you right now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We're protecting ourselves too much when we don't have to, knowing point one, that we are going to be so proud of who we are,
Yeah.
right? Three is recognizing that, hey, we can't control her, but it's not like she signed up for divorce on her resume or seeing her kids 50% of the time. Like,
Yeah.
not too many people think that way. I'm going to assume
Yeah.
your wife is like the rest of the world. When they get married, they're hoping for their whole
Exactly.
life,
And she's
right?
not looking for divorce. I know that. You know.
Exactly. So we
Yeah.
can use things like that to overcome the insecurity monster, loosen the
Yeah.
grip. And then we really focus on control, making sure that we're making decisions based off our core values, based off of the man that we are, the man that we want to be, because we're never done leveling up. Okay. But
Yeah.
being happy with the success of the journey. That man
Because
can then inspire his wife, lead his wife, and then share. We won't wait forever. I mean, you've learned that, hey, I didn't want to just blow my load. That was just what I was telling my wife, showing my wife with my actions, with my words, with my
yeah.
right. But you've learned that there's all these other things that you want out of a partnership, and this is when it's supposed to be reciprocal. You give with all your heart, and so does she, right?
Mm,
Then
yeah.
if we need to, and she's just still stuck in that past, let's say, Okay, we will invite her. We will ask her to join you on this journey, and we won't do it one time. If we'll do it 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever it is that your tolerance can take. At that point, you're losing your patience.
Yeah.
Okay.
So talking about inviting her on this journey, like she it doesn't know that I'm part of this group, which is a more intimate, intense group than the other groups I'm part of. So she sees the changes and she thinks it's the other group which is doing all that. I do
Yeah.
want to invite her to maybe take Catherine's group and let her know that I'm also in this group, which I've paid money to be part of. But I'm not sure when would be the right time to do that.
That's it.
I also don't want her to keep track of score now if I'm not leveling up or doing it exactly by the book, as you say.
Hmm.
And this would it come up with her, knowing her, she would then try to quote things from you or Catherine if I'm not doing exactly.
Yeah. Here's the thing with that. So you don't really need to explain it right now. It's not until she's in the spot where she's curious about you. More of that
Yeah,
natural, loving, empathetic, nurturing side of her. And how we do that is by when we're not walking on eggshells anymore, i.e., we're not worried about hurting her, making sure that she's like we're gonna affect her mood, right? No, the point is that she can have whatever feelings she wants. And then when she starts to feel free, just like you, not walking on eggshells, or safe reacting to protect herself. You see, she doesn't need to know about safe and stat. She just needs
yeah,
to see your example. That's when you're leading her during these disagreements, these hard conversations, these just
yeah,
when you're just curious, and then when she becomes curious with you, you got
yeah,
a smile on your face, and you're like, "Hey, babe, you know, I I have to be honest. I did another program too. It's not always that men's group. And it's just because she talked about the men's group and how great it is or whatever. And you see she's got a curious tone or a proud tone. Then you know
yeah,
she's more ready. But the other thing is, I don't believe we should until we're like we're not tolerating or sorry, we can't handle it anymore. That like we're this guy up here and she's down
yeah,
here because she needs to grow if you're a grower. You'll
yeah,
never
yeah,
be happy otherwise, right?
yeah. I
And
don't think
so
I'm the greatest. Yeah,
well, you aren't because she has to be more curious. She has to be recognizing. She has to be in love, man. She has to be not coasting. She has to be,
yeah,
when you guys have those conversations, it's challenging, but it's easy because you guys are getting along. You're moving
yeah,
forward. This is the partnership that we're talking about. So
yeah,
the reason I say that is because it's kind of like first order change and second order change. You remember when I talked about it? It's like the gym thing. Okay, she complains about her body. She complains that she's not happy with the way she looks or whatever, and or you can just tell she's unconfident. She's mad when she puts an outfit on, and you go just buy her a gym membership instead of second order change, which will actually work. Right, you're working out, you're eating right, you're not drinking, you're doing all the things that would support her having the idea on her own. That's what you're doing by using the reset. And so
yeah,
ultimately, when she sees and she has to come meet you. Think about some of the men in the program where they're like really great roommates, but they're just missing the intimacy. Okay.
yeah,
If you think about those guys, it's the exact same thing. She starts to actually feel guilty inside because she'll say, "I love everything about you." One of the guys, his wife, yesterday or 2 days ago, posted a picture on Facebook of him working out, talking about how he works so hard at 2 jobs. She's so lucky to have him, and they're still
mm,
missing this one thing. But I had to point out to him, man, your conversations are stronger, your goals are better. You were able to just share how you felt about the way she expressed to you about on Father's Day about the value with her kids because it
mm,
wasn't really there. Like that's a hard conversation. She wasn't appreciating him for being the father to her children. And like they got through that. Like this is massive intimacy like progress. And
yeah,
so he's rushing the sexless part instead of realizing, man, like she's noticing that I'm up here and
yeah,
and she's thinking about what that means to have a man that's up there knowing that he's craving me, knowing that I'm
yeah,
rejecting him and I haven't addressed what I need to address. So that's
yeah,
why that's why the reset has changed so much. Share, don't
yeah,
worry, you're jumping the gun right now over some very scary things, rightfully so.
yeah,
Okay, but we also had some setbacks with follow through and using lords and you know like that's okay. That's part
yeah,
of the journey for some of us. I mean, I had setbacks upon setbacks, man. You know what
yeah,
I mean? So
yeah,
showing up, following this, realizing there will be opportunities. And of course, the last is that if we have to motivate with boundaries, you or this
yeah,
other man I'm talking about, of course, you're not going to stay in a marriage where the intimacy isn't like what you deserve to have. I mean, we get to hug our kids, we get to high five each other if we see each other, hug each other. Of course, sex is important in marriage,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm willing to give it a couple of years and
Don't
go
think
with
about
it.
it like don't think about a couple years because that starts to get even though you're using it to be positive. I love my wife and try to just chill on that, man. Try to focus on today. Am I showing up to be proud of the
Okay.
man I can look at in the mirror? Because then
Yeah,
you're not making it's like if you know you've got your new clinic and you've got the new training you want to teach, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
let's say if you're like so focused on 7 or 8 figures,
yeah,
it's damaging because you're not even focused on what you need to do today to get the next lead, right?
yeah,
And so we have to stay on the day to day. It's okay to look a little bit into the future, but don't ever give yourself a timeline like that. You also might limit yourself. You might make it 2 or 3 years because that's what you're doing inside your head, right?
that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. No, taking it day by day, and I mean, I have been in that mindset before, just taking it day by day, and it's definitely a healthier mindset. Um, I just need to snap back into that. So
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
so okay, so we've kind of talked about kind of long-term plans and anxiety. Just on a day-to-day basis, I feel like so in general, it's like with Miriam, uh, people that know her, everybody says she's got anger issues and she's very impatient. And now it's that I'm not responding back to her anger and impatience, where what you went through, where your anger was last into a 3 day anger binge. So like that was me for 5 years straight.
Yeah.
Her anger patience would trigger me, and then it would just last for a week, 4 or 5 days.
Hmm.
So I'm diffusing all these moments of impatience and anger, and I find I have to diffuse 4, 5, 6 situations on daily basis, and I'm just
Okay.
getting a little worn out, and I'm getting a little tired, and at times after some some time, month, 2, 3 months, I lose a bit of motivation. It just
Which is what
it,
happened. That's what
yeah,
happened with you. Let me just put into perspective right now. And I'm
yeah,
gonna mentor the shit out of you right now. Okay. Don't
yeah,
be a fucking baby. You just said 5 years. And
yeah,
anger binges that would last 3 days, 5 days, right? Like it's been a few months, dude. It's your
yeah,
turn. It's your turn.
yeah,
Now I know that she also had a big role in that, but that's not
yeah,
who we are. As a man in power, we take responsibility for what we did wrong.
yeah,
Okay. And we just suck it up, man. You bring the yes tone. You turn to your kids when you have to. You take the joy out of your purpose in life. And dude, you be a man at play. You set up some badass dates that are full of fun, full of excitement, and you give every opportunity to replace not the anger and impatience with no anger and no impatience. You replace it with joy, with laughter, with excitement, with energy of a puppy, man. And then you go get your wife. Okay?
yeah,
That's how
yeah,
we do it. Okay?
yeah, yeah. Just keep going. Just keep at
Yes,
it.
man. And take it to Lords when you're feeling this way. When you're feeling head, when it's head, because it is frustrating. That's why I said I have to mentor the shit out of you and say, shut the fuck up. Right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's so frustrating. But man,
yeah,
it's almost impossible in that moment to remember the perspective of 5 years versus 5 months.
yeah,
Right? It's also impossible to remember how bad we were unless you watch the fight with me and Catherine again in the course, and you're just like, holy crap, or whatever on YouTube, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot. Like you have to
yeah.
remember,
That was me.
yeah. So that's maybe a really great way for you to think about it. And then the other thing is do the anxiety training, dude. But do the anxiety training, set a timer on your phone, get the white noise, and then put these 3 scenarios in, for example, right? Like having that hard conversation. Also, here's a good one for you. Think about how she's yelling at you, kicking you in the balls if she is. I don't know. But like the point is, think about how bad it gets and how that makes you feel, and go through the worst case scenarios for everything with that training, and do
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
daily. Don't do it while you're
Okay.
driving.
Yeah.
Sit in a quiet spot at the office real quick for 10 minutes and do it
Yeah.
daily, or at least a few times a week. You will start to remember, and when it's stopped, none of this is real, and you start to focus on the fact that 5 years, I'm not proud of that guy.
Yeah.
She needs me to love her through whatever she's reactively abusing me with, right? She
Yeah.
just needs that. And I'm going to provide structure for where I want the marriage to go, because I'm going to lead us out of this shit.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Absolutely.
Okay. I have to get ready for another call, but
Perfect.
I would like you to post in Lords when you're struggling with her impatience, especially her impatience. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't focus so much on the anger, just the impatience, so that we can walk you through the reminder of where you're at, showing up for who you are, where her impatience is coming from. Can you do that for me?
Absolutely. But
Okay.
thanks for the calls. These one-on-one calls are very helpful. Like I was saying, in Zoom calls with many people and the Discord, it is a little intimidating to share.
Sometimes,
Uh,
yeah.
this is great. Thank you so much, and hopefully we
You
can keep
got
this
it.
going.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep this going for sure. And also, take videos and send it into Lords. That will help you. You'll get over some of that intimidation. It's just a confidence thing. So stepping out of your insecurity there, let's say, will make you feel less intimidated. And it's so empowering when you're helping other men, because you'll feel the deep reflection back, because it's easier outside looking in at, say, another man going through his impatience. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right,
Okay.
brother. I'm going to see you soon. And we're going to do stat responding today, live training if you want. And we can go through some of
Uh,
this if you want.
I'm not sure if I can join, but I'll try my best. I just have a busy day today, but I'll see.
Okay. Well, then
Yeah.
I'll be dropping it into the Man with Impact module anyway for you. Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. Perfect.
All right. Okay,
All right.
buddy.
All right.
Talk soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.